get some feedback from my subscribers who live in the Michigan and Indiana area. I am looking into switching my South Dakota driver's license over to Michigan or Indiana in November around my birthday because it's the end of the 5 years, and so you have to renew the license. And my choice is either go back to South Dakota to do it, which might end up being a little bit of a pain in the butt. However, South Dakota gives you can go rent a hotel for a day, and they consider that residency. I need to find out specifically what Michigan or Indiana says for residency. And so far, Google does not show much of a, outside of needing, for the Real ID Act, you need 2 forms of identification, 2 forms of mail stating your address, and then, the proof of your, like, U.S. citizen birth certificate and stuff. So I basically have to pay either $100 to a generic mail forwarding service that hopefully has a physical address, or I could just use a UPS store that's actually right around the corner from where Roadrunner is located at. I'm thinking about doing that up there. In Canton, Michigan, which is right around the corner from Bellevue. Belleville, whatever they are. But the UPS thing for the year is probably like around $240 or something. Depends on the store, so $200, $240, give or take. And that's with extra postage paid so that I can forward stuff out throughout the year or whatever. And that would give me a mailbox there that has a physical address for the year. And then once I do that, I would need to get my birth certificate, a certified copy, because my mom is the only one who has the other regular copy, and I don't think she has it anymore. So I'll have to get that mailed from Lincoln, Nebraska, and it costs $25 a copy, and they only sell them in 2, so basically it costs $50 for the 2 of them to get sent, but I'll get that sent to the new mailing address. Then I'll have my birth certificate. Then I heard from another person that I can go to the post office and pay the $125, give or take, for a U.S. passport that has the address, the physical address from Michigan that I want to use. And that's a way to get around the requirement for Michigan or Indiana or other states that require you to have 30 days basically worth of renting a house or apartment or something. The way the U.S. is dealing it, to where you have to make sure that you have an address so that you can get on the planes and stuff like that. But the way to get around that is to have a federal ID, like a passport, which if I just paid the other $125 worth, I guess it's like 25 or $35 for the application for the passport, and then like the $100 and whatever for the book and whatever goes in it. What I was reading could be $50 in some post offices. I've seen it for $50. I don't know what the fees are on that one, but anyway, a bit more expensive, but I could use a passport later on in life anyway. It doesn't hurt to have another form of ID. And so I'm going to do that, and my Social Security card is getting really, really old, because it's, 37, well, not quite 37, it's probably 27 years old, because I got it when I was 10 or 12 years old. It's getting pretty faded, and you can get that for free, but you need to mail it to an address. So again, thinking send that from Social Security up to the Michigan address, and then take all those things still in the mail to the DMV or whatever they call it, where you get your driver's license thingy in Michigan. And between my Social Security envelope for the Social Security card, the U.S. passport, the birth certificate, and then a couple random pieces of mail, like getting some credit cards or something, so that I can do that, because bills wise, I only have my phone, which I pay by the month through Straight Talk, and food and gas are my 3 bills. So it's hard to prove legitimately that you have utilities and crap. So what I'm hoping is I hear from some of my subscribers who live in around the Michigan or Indiana area on how they went about moving from some other state to Indiana or Michigan, and how hard it was to do it, to prove your address and all that for the Real ID Act. So if someone could comment back. You can catch me on Facebook also. I'm on Facebook under Grant Dryden. There's this channel. There's Grant Expedites. You can comment on either one of those. You can send me a message on YouTube and I'll get it. It should send me an email about getting it. If you want to comment below, if any of you have gone through the Michigan or the Indiana process for getting a driver's license with the Real ID on it. I have the South Dakota driver's license with the Real ID Act, and it would be somewhat easier, except for having to drive all the way to South Dakota to do it, or fly there. It would be somewhat easier to just go to South Dakota, because like I say, in South Dakota you can just stay there one night in a hotel, bring the hotel receipt, and their licensing office will just give you the ID right off the bat. And then if I bought the same address that has a physical address, UPS box address, that's on my driver's license currently, so my address didn't change, that would be a little bit easier way to do it, to stay in South Dakota. But I'm trying to get stuff based out of Michigan because, work and employment and everything else. The one thing they kind of mentioned at the office at Roadrunner is I should have like a closer address, even though they know I technically don't have a, real at home address, because I don't see the point of paying for a house, especially when you're living this kind of life where you're out here for 3 weeks or at a shot. To me, there's no point in paying rent someplace that you're never there. That's just stupid, unless it's rent to own because you want to retire there someday on the hopes that you'll make it there. But my dad passed away at 60, so I, to this day I kind of, wonder if I'll ever make it to retirement anyway. Not to say it will or won't. I just think it's kind of pointless and stupid to spend your whole entire life running that rat race, saving up for the day that you can retire, only to be 4 years or 6 years or who knows how many years short of it. But people do what they're told is the American dream. I'm not going to get into it. I want to try to stay as close to debt free as I can. I still have some other debt and some other bills I got to pay someday. And I have probably, between now and November, I've come up with about $1,500 worth of bills to get paid eventually, but it's not nothing. That's a rush. I had a load last week. You might have saw my last video. It was on Friday, and I stayed loaded through the weekend and delivered it on Monday. And now today is the following Thursday, or this morning or this afternoon is the Friday after the Thursday afternoon. So I drove Thursday afternoon through all night long last night. Friday, now it's Friday evening of the next week, and they're still working on depending whether I get a weekend load or not. But so far, anyway, this first week out is only the one load for the week, which I'm blaming on the coronavirus thing everybody's freaking out on. I don't know, and I've heard rumors that it's going to be like 2 more weeks of slow, which kind of sucks. When you think about it, the way Roadrunner's doing it with 800 or 1,000 mile runs at a shot that all the other drivers are getting, the longer runs, that would mean that, roughly speaking, I need about 3 loads a week to not only break even, but be able to start to get ahead. Figure about 3 loads a week would be somewhere in the 2,500, 3,000 loaded mile range, give or take, or paid mile range. But I'm just biding my time and seeing how it goes. This industry can be slow one week and then super busy the next, and who knows. So, hoping for a better week next week. Anyway, that's the gist of the update, and I'll get this uploaded. I just want to see if anyone knows about the Real ID Act stuff. The fact that if you go and get a U.S. passport, if they let you get around the 30-day residency thing that I've heard that Michigan requires that you have some kind of 30-day proof of residency, like a rent bill or utility, which I don't have. So, let me know in the comments below. Peace.